Prologue. I will tell the tale of Gakoyo and Mombi and their daughters, the Perfect Nine, matriarchs of the house of Mombi, founders of their 9 clans, progenitors of a nation. I will tell of their travels and the countless hardships they met on the way, tremor after tremor raging from the belly of the earth, eruptions breaking the ground around them, making the ridges quake, the earth tremble as new hills heaved themselves out of the earth, and others burned, their flames flaring skyward, and valleys formed deep and wide behind them. When Gakoyo and Mombi looked back and saw a river of thick red mud moving toward them, they climbed other ridges, any that seemed free of flames, but just as they sought to sit down for a much-needed rest, they saw a big red rock hurtling down toward them, forcing them back on their heels and down to the plains. Other fires flared up in front of them, and again they were back on their feet, beating a hasty retreat, looking for any place that would offer respite. They faced hazards big enough to shatter the hearts of many. Their bodies trembled, but their hearts remained unshaken. For Gakoyo and Mombi had robed themselves with hope, and fastened themselves with courage, and moved on. And then they came to a mountain whose top touched the sky. How they were able to climb it they could not fathom, but they found themselves at the top, where now they stood, awed by the summit as white and massive as the moon, its coldness pushing them back as if commanding them to stop. They exchanged fleeting glances, not knowing whether to advance or retreat. Before them spread the chilling whiteness, threatening to freeze their hearts, behind them the sluggish red rivers of fire and the earth convulsing and the molten rock rolling down toward them. They did not let hope die. They did not ask, "Why us?" or indulge in blaming each other. They held firm and cast their eyes ahead to find the way. Far beyond they sighted another mountain, with a moon-white top like this one, as if the 2 mountains were born of one mother, and they said, "Another mountain of the moon." They saw yet other mountains, lying side by side like the folds of a cowhide in the sun. They cried out, "Look, the mountains of the cowhides." There were others shaped like turtle beans, and they named them the Njahi Bean Mountains. Still others, the Imbiriru, blue-black mountains. The landscape was beautiful. For a moment they were at a loss for words to describe the undulating plains that spread out before them, or the hills and valleys that hedged them in, or the rivers that flowed through the green lilies and reeds. Countless animals of different shapes and colors bent low over the waters, drinking and lowing and grunting and roaring in delight. Others strutted about the banks or simply basked in the sun. Gakoyo and Mombi turned to each other and murmured something. They were captives to their wonder. They resumed gazing at the peaceful green land below, then they stretched forth their arms in grateful reverence. "We receive this with all our hearts, O Giver Supreme," they said in unison. "Thank you, owner of the ostrich whiteness, for this land which you have given us, our children and our children's children." They scooped some of the moonlight in their hands. They scattered it on the earth around them. They started facing north and chanted, "Peace! Glory to thee, Giver Supreme! Peace!" Then they turned to the south and they said, "Peace! Glory to thee, Giver Supreme! Peace!" Then they turned to the east, the land of the rising sun. "Peace! Glory to thee, Giver Supreme! Peace!" And last, the west, the land of the setting sun. "Peace! Glory to thee, Giver Supreme! Peace!" And suddenly they felt their souls stir and soar with joy. They recalled the other places they had journeyed through, some of them with mountains and woodlands like these, rivers like these, animals like these, but their hearts had not been drawn to them. And now all the beauty they had left behind had reappeared tenfold for them to reap. More gratitude to the Giver Supreme welled up inside, and they broke into hymns of praise. "Owner of ostrich whiteness, we praise you for this brightness that shines so, this soil, these rivers, and the numerous hills and animals of varied shapes and color. These flowers reflect your glory, the plants and animals, and the birds and the creatures that dwell in rivers and lakes. All creation reflects your glory." We listened and heard the voice. It was you telling us that you have trusted us with this beauty to tend it with care and love, because this wonder manifests your glory. The forests and the mountains echoed with the melodies and the words and the rhythms. Voices from all things mingled in the air. Birds hopped on branches with delight. Monkeys hung from branches excitedly. Gakoyo and Mombi descended the mountain. They did not stop to look back. When fatigue finally caught up with them, they lay on the ground and slept for 9 months, the big, deep sleep of the beginning. Chirping Nyagathanga birds woke them, in the mokoe and the mokoyo trees. The birds hopped up and down in their nests, letting forth their rapturous song, as if whistling advice to the man and woman that they too should set up their own nests there, under the trees. They felt as if born again. Mombi picked a leaf of the mokoyo, the fig tree. Because you have woken up to a new life, I, with this mokoyo leaf, now rename you son of mokoyo, calling you Mogakoyo. They stopped by a wild olive tree, a motamayo. Gakoyo picked some of the mayo leaves. He sniffed at them and felt good. You are still the Mombi who molded my heart, but in the name of these leaves, I will also call you my motamayo. They started playing with the names, trying out different variations, different nicknames, till they ended with husband, wife, they called out in unison. They exchanged glances, their eyes sending out light, dwellers in a dreamland. Then they turned to the earth. Peace, glory be to thee, giver supreme. Peace. Then they turned to the mountain of ostrich whiteness and chanted gratitude to the giver supreme for bringing them to Mokorowena. They sang more hymns of gratitude for their safe deliverance under the Mokorowena shrine. Owner of ostrich whiteness, we praise you for this brightness around us, this soil, these rivers and numerous hills, and these animals of different kinds. Even I, teller of this tale, will first do the same. Implore the Giver Supreme to bestow peace in my heart so that I can render this tale of Gakoyo and Mombi and their perfect nine, exactly the way the wind whispered it to my soul when once I stood on a hill watching swallows flying in the air.